sorry, he had not come. I'm sorry, I just got your notification or something
Oh,
about being recorded.
you're so fine. Onward.
But he had not come to repeat the ceremony of their secret passion, protected by a world of dry leaves and furtive paths. The dagger warmed against his chest, and underneath it, liberty lay throbbing. A dialogue ran eagerly through the pages, like stream or serpents, and one felt as if all had been decided from the start. Even the embraces that tangled the body of the lovers seemed to draw unexpectedly the figure of another it was necessary to destroy. Nothing had been forgotten. Alibis, risks, possible mistakes. From that hour
You can just skip the Spanish part. Sorry.
onwards, every second had its own carefully attributed use. The ruthless double checking was hardly interrupted by a hand caressing a check. Night was falling.
Thank you, Catherine. Excellent work. And then finally, I think Ryan B, I think I asked you to read the third one.
Yeah. Without looking at each other, they were both attached rigidly to the task that awaits them as they separated from each other at the door of the cabin. She must follow the path that goes to the north. From the opposite path, he turned for an instant to see her running with her hair down. He ran in turn, sheltering himself among the trees and hedges until he was able to distinguish in mauve-colored mist of the twilight and tree-lined path that led to the house. The dogs should not bark and did not. The butler should not be there that hour, and he wasn't. He climbed the 3 steps of the porch and entered. From the blood galloping in his ears arrived the words of his lover. First the blue room, then the gallery, then the carpeted stairs. At the top 2 doors, nobody in the first bedroom, nobody in the second. The door of the reading room, and then the dagger in the hand, the light of the grand windows, the high back of the green velvet armchair, the head of the man in the chair reading a novel.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you, Ryan. Okay. So this has sort of multiple parts to it, which I don't want. So we'll just break down those multiple parts to make sure that we're sort of grasping things. So Theo, and again, for Theo, Josh, and Abby, or did I ask someone else to do it? But again, I'm not looking for overinterpretation. I literally just want you to describe what you at least saw happening in the paragraph. So Theo, would you mind talking about the first paragraph?
Yeah, so in the first paragraph, he is immersed in a book. And we're kind of introduced to him as like someone with a high social status, and he might be wealthy because he mentions his butler. And then, yeah, he seems to like to read.
Yeah.
So we're kind of introduced to him as a character.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I appreciate your special attention to the discussing with his butler about an issue of sharecropping, and then he returned to the book. Because that detail we'll come back to. So, and yes, I agree. Okay, cool. So he's a butler, or no, he's not a butler. He's a person of high class. He has a butler, and he enjoys reading. Good work. Thank you kindly. Josh, talk to me. So now then things shift a little bit. So Josh, talk to me. And again, whatever you see as a description of this paragraph.
He begins talking about how, like, him reading helps him get away from his work and from his surroundings, and then it gives a little dialogue about the book, and it seems to be like a romantic fantasy type story.
Yes, certainly. Yeah, and so what I heard, at least you talking about, Josh, is like, and I just want to like, because I feel like you latched onto a really crucial point that I want to like make explicit, I suppose, of like, you talked about the story kind of shifts into his thoughts on reading. Is that what you were talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. 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 Yes. And I agree. I very much agree. And specifically, the story shifts to this sort of romantic fantasy style novel. I think the first half of the second paragraph, I think you could say, is about sort of him beginning the process of reading, and the second half is actually just about the story. So excellent. Thank you. And then Abby, talk to me about the third paragraph now.
So this seems to be where the conflict is happening. At this point, we're like within the story that he's reading. There's the man and the woman. I'm pretty sure the man is out to kill the husband of the woman. So they're separating at this point, making his way to the house. He has this list of like directions that he's following. And then as he approaches the house, we find out that it's the house of the man who's reading the book, which is kind of confusing. I don't really know how to interpret that, but yeah.
Exactly. And for the record, I've read the story a bunch of times. I learned it in school, and I don't know if I ever put two and two together, that the man is going to kill, that she's related to the man. I don't think I ever put that together. But Abby, I think you're absolutely right. Yeah, because like he's described as a lover. Is that where you get that interpretation from, or just from
Yeah.
Okay, got you. Yeah. Okay, I didn't even realize that's it. Thank you. And yes, right. So. Exactly. And I want to focus on the ending of the first paragraph and the ending of the last paragraph. So I'll put this in the chat. Abby, excellent work, and excellent work to all of you. This is a really confusing story, and your all's analysis was really good. So this is the end of the first paragraph, right? Comfortably seated in his favorite armchair, his back to the door so as to lessen the irksome possibility of intrusions, he let his left hand caress again and again the green velvet of the chair and began to read the last chapters. And then the very end of the story, I'll put this in the chat too, the door of the reading room, and then the dagger in the hand, the light of the grand windows, the high back of the green velvet armchair, and the head of the man in the chair reading novel. And as Theo pointed out, right, there's the butler in the first paragraph discussing with his butler about an issue of sharecropping. And then in the last paragraph, the butler should not be there at this hour, and he wasn't. So right, there's all of this sort of setup, and then it eventually appears. I mostly agree also with you, Abby, that this is also very confusing. So I put at the very beginning, the goal of this lesson is to understand metafiction. I'm going to put in a definition of metafiction now. So metafiction is when the author self-consciously alludes to the artificiality or literariness of a work, I definitely did not pronounce that right, by parroting or departing from novelistic conventions and traditional narrative techniques. So another example of this, I don't know if I can find it. So like there's a famous novel. Now I'm just thinking about this out loud, admittedly. I'm going to put this in the chat too. There's a famous novel called If on a Winter's Night a Traveler by an Italian writer named, his last name is Calvino. And I'll put in the chat. This is the beginning of the novel. This is how If on a Winter's Night a Traveler begins. You are about to begin reading Italo Calvino's new novel, If on a Winter's Night a Traveler. Relax, concentrate, dispel every other thought. Let the world around you fade. Best to close the door. The TV is always on in the next room. Tell the others right away. No, I don't want to watch the TV. Raise your voice. They won't hear you otherwise. I'm reading. I don't want to be disturbed. And so on, right? So this is metafiction. It's strange and weird, and it's basically novels or stories that are often built in and are about the process of reading. And specifically, and this is the weird part, I appreciate Abby's certain word, about you reading it. Built in is analysis of your process of reading it. Okay, so therefore, good work, excellent analysis. If in the spirit of metafictional techniques, let's get self-referential. So I want you all, we are currently in a class at Red Hook High School. You all are students in an English class at Red Hook High School. So in the spirit of that, I want you to think of a silly thing that has happened in a class of yours while at Red Hook High School. Nothing wildly inappropriate, please. But other than that, literally anything. Just a really silly, funny, strange, any kind of thing that has happened in your, I think all of you are juniors, yes? I think so. In your 3 years here at Red Hook High School. So I'm gonna ask maybe 4 people to share. Actually, no, maybe I'll put in the chat who I'm gonna ask to share actually. I'm going to ask Becky to share. I'm gonna ask CD, I know I can't answer, Ryan S to share. And I'll ask Ryan B to share. And I'll ask Braden to share. Okay, but everyone think about it. Everyone think about it. What is one, because you're gonna have to do something with it next. So what is one wacky thing that has happened at Red Hook High School? Okay, all right, take a minute. Okay. So hopefully you all have thought of some wacky thing that has happened in a classroom as we are in currently right now, even if it is a Zoom classroom. Becky, can I ask what your small silly thing that happened at Red Hook High School was?
It was like I think in 8th grade or when I was a freshman. It was in English. And it was like very quiet. I think we were reading a book, but I like did like a burp. I sneezed and burped. I don't know. It was something weird, but I made a weird noise and everybody looked at me.
Was everyone like reading quietly while it was happening?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, that is perfect. That's perfect. Okay, exactly. And also, I hope you know, yeah, that's fantastic. I think so anyway. Okay, Becky, thank you. Perfect. Ryan S, are you out there?
Yeah. One thing that happened that's I think is kind of ironic, not ironic, but I guess sort of funny, is that there's this assignment, okay, and basically the teacher asked whoever goes first gets extra credit, and my friend just who was like just sitting there for a moment just raised their hand like extra credit. And we were like, wait, no, we don't want to be the first group to go.
Okay, absolutely, absolutely. Oh, I get it. So it was like the kind of thing where like the kid volunteered, but then you all had to actually go.
Yeah, and they didn't know it was like we had to go first. They just heard extra credit.
Got you. Absolutely. Oh, that's tough. That's tough. That's tough. That's like the kid who like, or not the kid, that's me, but like reminds me of the person who like asks, like, oh, like you haven't asked for the homework or things like that, which is a fine thing to do. But okay, yes. Excellent, Ryan. Thank you. Ryan B.
I don't know if it's like weirder. I don't know, but me and one of my friends in geometry always used to like do the homework like right before class. Like we sit down in the class and do the homework right before the teacher checks. So we always used to do that.
Would you do it like in a group or like as individuals?
No,
Like,
just me and him just
got
did it
you. Got you.
right
Absolutely.
before
Absolutely.
the teacher checks.
Absolutely, 100%. One of my best friends in high school, in an English class, he would write his essays on the drive to school. Like his mom would drive him to school, and he would write them on the way. So that reminds me of that. Absolutely, absolutely. I also appreciate that reminds me of like people who need to annotate, but they like haven't done it in time, so they just like highlight random stuff. We know some of you. I mean, Mrs. Griffin's nodding her head. I know I've done that before. I won't blame it. I won't put that on any of y'all, but I know I've done that before. So, okay, absolutely. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you. And then I think last is Braden. Braden, are you out there? It's no worries at all. I see that your mic went off, Braden, but I'm not sure if I can hear you, which is no worries at all if you can't share. Okay, yeah, that's no worries, Braden. Okay, thank you all. So now I'm going to put this instruction in the chat. I want you to think of your whatever silly thing, whether it's like doing your homework in geometry class right before, or especially Becky's of sort of like weird sounds coming out while everyone is silent. And I want you to think about how right after, I want you to imagine that something different happened. So again, we are in this Red Hook class. We are talking, and we are talking in a meta fictional kind of way about whether something else could happen right now in this individual moment. In, to be clear, the exact same way of like, you're reading a book and then suddenly the character from the book is behind you, which is kind of scary. I don't know. What if an elephant just popped through the door right there? Or it doesn't have to be like ridiculous also. That's just like where my mind goes. Maybe like I just turn off the Zoom call or things like that. But yes, but get fantastical, get fictional, get interesting. And again, I'm going to ask for all of you all to share. I think this class ends at, yeah, so we have 20 minutes. We have plenty of time. So I'm going to ask for you to share your, yeah. So I'm specifically going to ask everyone to share their second part. So take 30 seconds. And if you want to share the first one, I'm curious to hear, but I'm gonna ask everyone to share the fictional, metafictional thing that they want to happen in a Red Hook High School classroom. Okay? Okay, take 45 seconds and go. If you're at all stuck, now that I think about it, if you could make something wacky happen in a Red Hook High School classroom, what would you have happen? Answer that question. Okay, my friends. Already. That's fine. I have put into the chat the order in which I'm going to ask you all to share, just for form predictability. And yeah, let's get metafictional. I want to hear, if you had to write a story about a Red Hook High School class, what would you make happen? Catherine, could you go first?
Can it be like something like bad? Not really bad, but
This is an excellent question. So, right, like, and I thought about this specifically while I was designing this lesson, like for all of you, it can be something bad. Don't do something like really bad, but it can absolutely be something bad. So yes, if that line makes sense, talk to me.
okay. Well, I've never seen a student walk out of a class like them being mad or something. So I think that would be interesting. And I would write about that maybe.
Certainly. Absolutely. I'm curious if you'd add any like, yeah, I feel like they could like slam down their books or something. Yes. Or something like that. Or I don't know. I'm curious if you want to add small like narrative details, like the way in which like in the continuity of Parks, there's like the green velvet chair. Does that make sense?
Wait, can you say that again?
Yeah, like what? So they walk out of they storm out of the classroom. I
Yeah.
love it. I like it so much. It's interesting. It's conflict. It drives the plot forward. But like what are they wearing? Or like Do they say something as they walk out, or just a small narrative detail like that? I understand I'm asking you to come up with this on the spot, so also you can be like, I don't want to come up with this on the spot. But does that make sense as a question?
Yeah, it does. Well, I just really thought maybe the student got mad or something and couldn't handle it and had to leave the classroom, like storm out. I didn't really think of it more.
Absolutely. I think that's fantastic. Okay. Thank you, Catherine. And to be clear, I guess in my teacherly mode, right? That is a metafictional moment. We're currently in a Red Hook High School class and we're talking about an imagined moment in what could happen in this classroom right now. Many of you sometimes just leave a Zoom call. Perfectly reasonable. You have lives to do. You have things to do. Makes sense. I sometimes leave Zoom calls all the time. But that's exactly the kinds of things we're talking about. So excellent, Catherine. Becky.
I didn't really think of anything like really like fictional, but like this is like an idea I've had, but like having everybody like bring their pets and like weird animals, like have it like a zoo in school. Yeah. That's what I thought.
I like that so much. I like that. Oh, yes. And to be clear, exactly, yes. Like, right? Like, it doesn't have to be like fantastical. It can just be that. Yes. Can I ask what animal you would bring in? Is that okay?
If I had the animal, I would like pick a panda, I guess.
Okay, got you.
I like
Absolutely.
pandas.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Pandas are fantastic. Okay. Thank you, Becky. Yes. And again, teacher's emphasis. If you were writing a story sitting in a Red Hook High School classroom about a Red Hook High School class and then had everyone bring in their own pet, that is fantastic metafiction. So thank you. Theo, you out there?
Yeah, I think that would be amusing if just the sprinklers went off randomly. Not a fire, because that's dangerous, but just randomly the water started spraying from the ceiling.
Absolutely. I appreciate your careful, like you're like, arson? No. Water damage to everybody's books. Absolutely. Which I think you nailed the line perfectly. So yeah. Okay. I agree. Thank you, Theo. I wonder if that's ever happened. Mrs. Griffin, has that ever happened? Okay. Got you. Okay, which we shouldn't joke about yet because fires. So there has been fires, there has been sprinklers, which we won't joke about. Okay. Josh, and thank you, Theo.
I was thinking like if the power went out, or maybe like the fire alarm went off, not for an actual fire, but something so we wouldn't have to do schoolwork.
Yeah, absolutely. Have you, Josh, in your time going to Red Hook, has there been like a really weird reason that school got canceled? Like all the power went out, or like it rained too much, or like no? I'm just curious. That just raises that question for me.
I don't think so.
Got you. Yeah, because if the power goes out, you have to. I mean, Mrs. Griffin, is that? Do you have? Oh, there's a gen. Okay, but okay. So Mrs. Griffin just said there's a generator, but I like it, Josh, because then you could add like into your narrative, into your metafictional narrative, like why the generator goes out, which like I don't know, but you can think about that. Perfect, Josh. Thank you. Abby. Wait, did I already call on Abby? No, I called on Becky. Abby, what's up?
This is not something I would necessarily want to happen because it would probably be dangerous, but the picture is just funny. But if somebody were to pull the fire alarm during a thunderstorm and everyone had to go stand in the rain.
Absolutely. I agree. And I appreciate your beginning footnote, but I agree because I think that if the fire alarm went off during a thunderstorm, probably, the principal or teachers or whatever would find solutions to the problem. So I just got so tempted. Do you all know lightning position? Are you all familiar with that? Okay, put a thumbs up in the chat if you're familiar with lightning position and a thumb down if you're not familiar with lightning position. Because if enough of you do thumbs down, I'm definitely going to do it. Again, I'll put that in the chat. Lightning position. Okay, I got some no's. I have a variety of no's. Okay. Can I do it? Is that okay? Can I show you? Sorry, I worked as like worked as like an adventure-based like at an education center. So I would like lead people like kids on hikes. Okay. Mr. Griffin, can I do it? Is that okay? Okay, so this is what lightning position is, Abby, and this just reminds me of it. Because like if you all were in my class and here, I'll do that. Okay, if you are all in my class and a thunderstorm happened, we would go out into the field and I would ask you to do lightning position, which looks like this. Because then, or no, like this. Because then if the lightning hits your hands, it's touching your knees and then it doesn't hit your heart. Sorry. I know that's probably the wackiest thing you've ever seen someone do on a Zoom call, maybe, but that made me think of it. So thank you, Abby. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Ryan S. Talk to me.
I remember seeing this video online, so I thought it'd be really funny. It's just everyone in a class suddenly out of nowhere just whipped out like a soda can or something and all opened it at like the same time during the class.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. Have you ever done that just in your own life?
Nah.
Got you. Absolutely. Yeah. That sounds fantastic. Yeah. I've never done that myself also. And again, yes, emphasizing sort of the literary element that if you were to sitting in a Red Hook High School classroom and then you wrote about that happening, that is metafictional. So excellent, Ryan. Thank you. Joe, you out there, Joe?
So wait, it can be anything, right?
So it can be anything within, like think of
Yeah,
mile.
yeah.
Like let's not burn the building down, but if the sprinklers went off, that'd be okay.
All right. I would probably just try and have like a concert, like with a lot of like rappers, like nice rappers.
Absolutely, absolutely. Anyone's in particular?
Huh?
Anyone's in particular?
I like
You don't
Young
have
Boy
to.
could come.
Okay, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, he could
Yes.
come.
100%, 100%. Sam, say yes, Sam. Absolutely. Okay, Sam approves. Thank you, Sam. I appreciate that. Yes. Okay. So Joe, I'll ask the same question that I think I asked to whoever went first, which was Catherine. Joe, I want can you think of, and again, I'm putting you on the spot, so you don't have to, but like, where would you hold the concert? What time of the day would it happen? Right? Like, I want those specific narrative details. You don't have to, but if you were to write a metafictional narrative, those details would be important. Yeah. So I'm just curious if you can think of those on the spot.
It would probably be like at nighttime or something.
Absolutely.
And what was the first question you asked?
And then, yeah, so you said nighttime, and then where would it be?
Oh, where?
Yeah.
It would definitely be like in the like gymnasium. Or
Okay, in the
something, like,
gymnasium. Okay,
auditorium or something.
Okay, got you. Absolutely, absolutely. Yes, yeah. So, right, like exactly, like, okay. Thank you for those small narrative details that create our metafictional narrative to really pop. Excellent. Okay, Ryan B, finally.
I was thinking like turn all the lights off to make the school like really dark and then play hide and seek with everyone.
Oh, that sounds fantastic. Have you played any of like hide and seek adjacent games like Manhunt or Sardines?
Yeah, I used to do that all the time.
Gotcha.
In the summer.
Do you prefer hide and seek, or do you think Manhunt and Sardines are better?
No, Manhunt.
Manhunt's number one. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Manhunt with all the lights off in Red Hook High School. That would be a fantastic story. If you were to write that story, I would read that. Okay, Ryan B, thank you. Okay, excellent. Good work, you all. And again, I hope that it in any way sort of makes sense that us doing this like self-reflective work is exactly what metafictional things do. All right, we have one thing left. I think this class ends in 10 minutes. So the last thing that I want you all to do is, this is the last thing, I'm going to put a video into the chat. This is from a television show called Fleabag. It is an example in a different medium. So this is not literature, this is film or things on a screen, but this is a metafictional moment in a television show. It's totally okay if you don't really if you're like, I don't really understand. But again, I'll put the definition of meta narrative in the chat. Let me make sure I find that definition. So I'll put this back in the chat. Fiction in which the author self-consciously alludes to the artificiality of a work. So any way that any work of art is making its audience or reader aware of the fact that a work of art is made up, any way that it's referring to that artificiality, that is metafiction. So I'm going to put into the chat a video from a TV show of doing it, and I want you all to, after you watch it, to put a sentence, I'll write this out, put a sentence in the chat thinking about how this is metafiction. Put a sentence in the chat. Okay, I'm gonna send in the video now. I'll give you all like a minute and 30 seconds. Yeah, take a minute and 30 seconds. Watch the video, watch it a couple times. It's a pretty short video. And then write in the chat one sentence about how you think this exemplifies a metafictional technique. Go ahead. Okay, so probably I had time at least. I watched the video twice. So if you want to start crafting a single sentence, and again, I'm going to get a grade for this. It's just seeing how you're thinking about this. Yes. So if you want to craft a sentence now about how it is and put it in the chat. And some of you all are direct messaging me, which works fine. If you'd rather just direct message me and not message in the public chat, that's totally okay. I'm just responding to you all now. If you've put something in the chat, I'm going to respond to the thing that you've put in the chat. And we're just going to like direct message you. Hmm. Okay, I'm just trying to make sure that I'm gonna respond to all of you. Okay, I should be, okay, I think I've responded to you all now, except for some of you who've messaged me in Teams, and I'll respond to those in a little bit. Okay. This class will last a minute. Okay, that was perfect, you all. And that was a really advanced literary technique. And you all's understanding of it is perfect. Yeah, this is my last week of student teaching. So this will be actually the last lesson I teach you all. Thank you for an excellent time working with short stories. It's been an absolute pleasure hearing about you all's wacky stories and ghost stories and Red Hook High School and so on. So thank you all so much for the time and good work learning metafiction. You all absolutely showed perfect of that. Okay, thanks you all. Have an excellent day.
You too, sir.
You too.
Bye y'all.